Florida is the second largest strawberry producing state in the United States. We have approximately 8,000 acres of land devoted to farming strawberries. So obviously we Florida gardeners are fortunate to have good conditions for growing strawberries. Most people think of strawberries as being a summer crop, but in Florida, as with a lot of things, they're actually a winter crop. Strawberries need temperatures between 50 and 80 degrees, and also less than 14 hours of daylight in order to produce fruit. So in Florida, we have those conditions during the fall, winter, and early spring. In Florida, we plant strawberry bare roots in September, October, and November. According to the University of Florida, the ideal planting times for each region are as follows. North Florida between September 15th and October 15th, Central Florida between September 25th and October 25th, and South Florida from October 1st to December 1st. Although these would be considered the best planting times, I have also planted at various times throughout the whole range of dates between early September and December, and I've still had good results, so most of us should really be able to plant anytime during the fall months. Strawberry varieties are classified as either short day, June-bearing strawberries or day-neutral, ever-bearing strawberries. The strawberry varieties that are usually recommended for growing in Florida fall under the category of short day, June-bearing strawberries. The June-bearing varieties typically have the largest fruit sizes and are the ones that are more commonly grown commercially. The following varieties are commonly recommended for Florida: Festival, Camarosa, Sweet Sensation, Sweet Charlie, Chandler, Radiance, and Brilliance. Of these varieties, Sweet Sensation, Radiance, and Brilliance are some of the most common ones that are grown commercially by Florida farmers. And Festival, Camarosa, and Sweet Sensation are the ones that are recommended by the University of Florida as being the best varieties for a Florida home garden. Most of these varieties are usually available online from various nurseries, but you may not be able to find every variety every year, but you can usually find at least a few of them. Like last year, I was able to buy Festival bare roots online, but this year I wasn't able to find a good source for them. However, I was able to find some of the other varieties on the list. And also, I usually try to find nurseries that are either in Florida or in a southern state that's going to be shipping out the bare roots during our growing season. There's a nursery in Georgia I really like, and a couple of ones in Florida that I like to buy the bare roots from. Here's a list of some less common varieties that have also been recommended for growing in Florida: Sequoia, Oso Grande, Selva, Florida 90, Florida Belle, Tioga, Dover, and Tufts. I think all of these must be old varieties because I've never seen any of these listed for sale except for Sequoia. And actually, Sequoia has now become one of my favorite varieties. I found it online from the nursery in Georgia that I like last year, and I tried it, and I thought it was great. So Sequoia is a variety that I would definitely recommend trying. And in addition to Sequoia, I've also tried Festival and Sweet Charlie, and I liked both of those, and I think they're worth trying also. I just want to mention, I would really love to try Sweet Sensation. I have tried several times. I ordered from several different places, and I had a very bad experience both times that I ordered Sweet Sensation. Both times I received bare roots that were moldy and rotten and basically already dead when I got them. So I've pretty much given up on trying to grow Sweet Sensation for now. If I see another vendor that's selling them, that's shipping them out in the right time frame, then I might give it a try again, but so far no luck with Sweet Sensation. So here are some general tips for growing strawberries. First of all, you want to grow them in a location that gets plenty of full sun, at least 8 hours, but 8 to 12 hours would be ideal. And you want to plant in soil that's rich in organic matter and has very good drainage. I've been growing strawberries in raised beds that are mostly compost mixed with some garden soil, and that's been working out really well. But I've also started growing in containers as well, and potting mixes are good for growing in containers because they help with good drainage. It's a good idea to rotate your strawberry plantings so that you don't plant new strawberries in a location where you were previously growing strawberries. And you also want to avoid planting them in locations that recently had tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, or potatoes growing, because all of these plants are prone to the disease verticillium, and you may have a buildup of harmful pathogens in the soil if you don't rotate your crops. Also, you want to plant your strawberries about 12 to 16 inches apart from each other. I usually do them about 12 inches apart. And when you plant the bare roots, you want to spread the roots out kind of in a fan shape all around when you're planting them. And also be careful not to bury the crown of the bare roots under the soil. So you want to bury the roots all the way up to the crown, but don't bury the crown itself under the soil. That can lead to it rotting. So if anything, it's better to not cover it enough than to cover it too much. It's recommended to mulch your strawberries with things like straw or hay or pine needles. And you should use a balanced fertilizer, something that's like a 5-5-5 or 10-10-10, just something where the numbers are pretty even. The one I've been using, I think, is 4-3-4 because it's an organic one, so they're like lower numbers. And you want to apply the fertilizer at planting time and also several more times during the growing season because strawberries are heavy feeders, so make sure to give them plenty of food. And they also need to be watered frequently, pretty much every day at first. When you first plant the bare roots, you want to keep the roots moist until they get well established. And then you still want to keep them moist. You don't want to flood them, but they do need to be watered regularly, like at least every couple of days. And when it's hot out, then pretty much every day, so that they don't dry out. The farmers have them usually on drip irrigation, which is a great way to do it. If you have the ability to set up some drip irrigation, that would be a great way to keep them watered, but not overwatered. A lot of strawberry plants will grow runners off of the mother plant, and the runners will steal the nutrients and energy away from the mother plant, and the mother plant will suffer as a result. So what you should do is to cut off the runners so that they don't take away the nutrients. And you can wait until the runners develop some roots so that you can transplant them into another spot. Sometimes I do that and just like put them in let them root into little pots, and then I cut them off after they've rooted into the little pot. But other times, I mean, they produce so many runners that a lot of times I just cut them off and I don't even bother to wait for them to root, because I want the mother plant to be able to put all of its energy into producing good berries. Since we're growing strawberries in the winter time, and a lot of us do get freezes occasionally, plan on covering your strawberry plants when a freeze is predicted. Strawberries can handle a freeze. They actually would survive temperatures below 32 degrees. I think even down into the 20s they can survive, but freezing temperatures will damage the fruit. So it's best to cover your plants if it's going to be below 32 degrees. Also, be prepared to protect your strawberries from all the critters. Everyone likes strawberries. People like strawberries, raccoons like strawberries, possums like strawberries, rabbits, birds, bugs, everything. So this year I'm planning to build some cages made of hardware cloth around my berry plants to protect them, especially from the raccoons. The raccoons can seem to get through anything that you put out there to try to protect your berries. So I'm going all out this year to build a nice big cage for them. Every year I try to grow at least 2 of the tried and true Florida-friendly strawberry varieties that I know will have reliable production. This year I'm going to plant 25 Sweet Charlie and 25 Sequoias, but I've also been experimenting with some of the other varieties that aren't really recommended for Florida, just to see how they taste and if I can get them to grow here. Next, I'm going to show you some of the strawberries I'm experimenting with, so if you're interested, then keep watching. This is a container of an unknown variety of strawberries. I only know to call them wild strawberries. I think that's what they were listed as online. I bought them on Etsy from a girl who said she digs them up out of her backyard in Michigan. And I planted them in December, even though it was kind of late in the year. And they didn't do much that first year until the summertime. And then I actually did get a few strawberries off of them in the summer. And they were in little individual pots. And I moved them into this self-watering planter. And after that, they really took off. And I've had them for, I think, 2 years now, maybe a little more than 2 years. And they've just kind of grown wild in this planter. They're taking over and producing runners all over the place. So they're kind of crowded in here now because, as you can see, this is a runner that's come off of the main plant inside the container, and it's actually planted itself in just some dirt in the middle of a pallet. This container is sitting on a pallet, and these runners have come down here. This one's also rooted in the pallet, just in the dirt that collects in the cracks. I need to thin them out and maybe replant some of the runners in other containers and just clean it up a bit. And I just gave it some fertilizer the other day. Once it starts to cool off, I think that they'll be happier and they'll revive. But there's actually already just little flowers growing on here. These haven't produced a ton of strawberries, probably because I don't take very good care of them and they're too crowded in this container. But the strawberries they did produce were very tasty. They're very small, but they were delicious. These are Dubois strawberries. They're supposed to be really sweet and tasty strawberries, so I really wanted to try them, but they are not a recommended variety for Florida. They're an everbearing type of strawberry, but I thought I would just try it anyway because they sounded like they might be delicious. So it was an experiment, and so far they haven't produced a lot of strawberries, but I didn't plant them in our growing season. It was springtime when I was able to find the bare roots for sale. So I ordered them in spring and I planted them in spring, and then I've just been waiting to see how they would do this fall. I wasn't even sure if they would live through the summer. I moved them over here into the shade for the summertime, and so far they've actually been doing just fine in the summer. They're even producing a lot of runners. That's a runner that's trying to find a place to root, and they've even been rooting down in the sand next to the pots. These are all rooted. There's quite a few runners that have planted themselves nearby, and they are producing flowers. And I did see a fruit on one of these. It's over here. Yeah, that's a little strawberry. It's still white, but they've produced a few strawberries throughout the spring and summer, and I'm just waiting to see if in the fall, when we have more ideal conditions, if they will produce some more. They are a good tasting variety, so I'm excited to see what they'll do. I planted these in a tower garden. You can see these are those stackable pots, so they stack on top of each other to form a tower. but I was not very pleased with that situation. I don't think I'll ever try growing them in a tower garden again. They're actually doing much better now that I took them apart and separated them so they're not on top of each other. It seemed that the ones that were on the south-facing side of the tower were getting fried and getting a little too much sun, but the ones on the north side of the tower weren't getting hardly any sun. And I also think it was uneven with the watering. Like the ones on the bottom were getting a lot of water, but the ones on the top were drying out really fast. So I actually had like a whole side of the tower garden that they all just were dying in certain areas. And so it seemed like it had to do with the location, like the direction of the sun and everything, because it was all in certain areas, all next to each other. All of the strawberries would die in that section, but the other sections would be doing okay. So I just felt like that was not the ideal situation. I think you're actually supposed to turn those towers like every day so that they get more like evenly distributed sunlight, but I do not have time for that, so there's no way I'm going to be doing that. And they're doing much better just sitting on the ground in their individual pots where they're not blocking the sunlight from each other, and they can all drain at a normal rate, so they can get the same amount of water and all drain evenly and get even amounts of sunshine. Here's another type of strawberry that I'm growing. These are Alpine strawberries. They're a very small variety, and again, they're not really recommended for Florida. They wouldn't be used for any sort of like commercial production, but in the home garden, they've actually worked out very well. I grew these last year as an experiment, and I was really happy with how it all turned out. They grow surprisingly well in the fall and winter. So these actually are started from seeds, not from bare roots. I planted these seeds in soil blocks on August 21st. So it's been about 5 weeks since I planted these, and they're pretty much ready to be pulled apart and planted into bigger pots or into the ground, but I think it's still a little too hot for them to go out in the ground right now, so I am gonna just probably move them up into bigger pots for now. The soil blocks will, since they're touching each other, the roots will grow into the neighboring soil blocks, and then I'll have to pull them apart, and some of the roots get damaged when I do that, so I don't want the roots to get too intertwined in the neighboring soil blocks. So I'll be doing something with these pretty soon.